Hello and welcome to Chandoo.org. In this video, let us take a look at staff turnover report or HR employee attrition report. This is one area of human resources where almost for every month or sometimes even on weekly or daily basis, you are asked to produce some sort of statistics, information and insights into what's happening to employees recruitment and employees leaving. Now every company would go through these cycles where people would come and join, and then some people want to leave for either better opportunities or family reasons or whatever may be the case. So this is a fictional company called East Coasters Incorporation, and this report gives you that overview of what's happening at the employee turnover level. When it comes to turnover or attrition, there are many ways in which you can represent this information. This is just one variation of how we could elegantly present that data so that you as a HR manager or team managers or general managers can take a look at this and understand what's happening at their level and take some necessary actions to either curtail the employee attrition or plan their recruitment activities or other things. So let's first take a look at this report, and then we will understand how you can construct a similar report in Power BI. There are several, essentially 5 visuals in this area, but there are quite a few more once you get into it. But the main visual is what is happening to the employee recruitment and what is happening to the leavers. So 2 measures, joinee count and leaver count, shows us on a monthly basis how many people have joined and how many people have left. For example, in the 2018 month of May, we have 132 people joining and 15 people leaving. As you can see, the number of people joining is kind of tapered down to about 150, but number of people leaving is catching up rapidly. So we are on a net basis, we seem to be losing quite a lot of staff, and this means you need to be doing more and more recruitment. This is for all departments. There is a slicer filter on the top using which you can get into any particular department, like engineering for example, to see their own trends. Here are some cards that kind of summarize what's happening with overall recruitment and employee attrition. We had 122 people joining in the last month, 115 leaving, 7 is the total staff to date. That's the net difference between this. In the last 3 months, 135 total headcount went up so far. That is, with all the data that you have, 1489 people. And then there are the bottom tiles explore these trends by the branches. We operate in 7 branches along the east coast of United States. So and who are the people leaving by gender? Is it female and male? And another card here that gives us what is the percentage proportion of the top 2 branches in the overall levers. You can also explore the top 10 roles with highest turnover, which designations or job titles have highest percentage of turnover. This is a simple turnover percentage, not annualized or anything. So it just looks at levers divided by total joinees to get that number. And then that's the overall trend of our head count. This is the net trend. So we have gone from 0 in Jan 2018 all the way up to 1489. And if this trend were to continue, we can expect that our head count would remain more or less same in the next 6 months, because we have gone through that initial phase of rapid ramp up, and now we have kind of gone in that level. All of these are interlinked, so if you slice on any one of them, then everything will respond. For example, if you go and select a business development, you can see what's the trend for that, what are the branch wise information, what are the top 10 roles, and the forecast of the headcount for that, and other cards. And just like everything else in Power BI, you can cross select and drill and play with this visual to understand. You could even use insights to, for example, right click and then say explain, analyze and explain this decrease or whatever, and then you would be able to play and use this data in a much more effective way. Now that you have understood how this is working, let's go ahead and see how to build such a report. To keep things simple, I have not incorporated a lot of unnecessary tables. Rather, I'm just looking at employees, recruitment and leaving data and nothing else. We are not even looking at their date of join, I mean specific date of birth, or a lot of other data that you tend to have. So this is the raw data for this particular example. We have a simple spreadsheet with two separate tables. One is a new joinees table that has employee name, gender, department, branch, date of joining and designation, and a leavers table, similar format, but where we have date of join, we have date of leaving. That means that employee has now left, right? So this is that. Now if you were to pay close attention, for example, Lou, Weil or Zerzak, all these names are randomly made up, you can find that record in the new joinees as well. Here it is. So she joined in the New York branch on the I want to say 5th of September 2018 as a pharmacist, and she left on 14th of September from the same branch. So this is that data, but we don't have date of join here, so you can't really see some additional information like tenure, etc. That for that you would need to either add columns or create some very creative measures. Anyhow, what I did after that is I went and imported these two tables into my Power BI as two tables. Right, those are my staff and leavers table. Now let's get into Power Query here, so you can explore all the other tables that we can generate, those dimension tables, etc. I'll go to edit queries here very quickly. Let's take a look at those extra tables that I have generated. So we have the staff table, which is nothing but an Excel table from the Excel file with only data type conversion is on the date of join converted to date. Same goes for leavers, date of leaving is converted to date. So after this, what I did is I created some reference tables. So this gender table is nothing but on the staff, because I assumed everyone would be in the staff table to begin with, and leavers would be a subset of the staff table with some additional information on date of leaving. So I right click on the staff table and then say make a reference. What this does is it will give us a copy of the staff table as at the last step of that query. So you'll get that finalized version here, and from here right click on the gender, remove other columns, and right click and then say remove duplicates, and you will end up with all possible genders that are in the data set. Right, we could either type this, but that's not a way to do. Generally, when you have data sets that are coming, you can generate the dimension tables like this in a very quick and efficient way that always refer back to the original data set. So this is how I have generated the D gender table. I just call that as D short for dimension, gender. Then we create similar tables for department, branch, job title, and those are fairly self-explanatory. Now the final one is very interesting, the calendar table. This one is slightly more elaborate than the other one, so I'm going to show you how to make a calendar table on this example here. We make a reference table from the staff to start off, and then we right click on the date of join, remove other columns, so only date of join remains, and then go and filter date filter is earliest. This will give us the earliest date in our data set. Now there are multiple dates here. I can right click and then say remove duplicates, so that there's only one date, and that's the date. That's the 1st of January 2018. Now right click and then say drill down. This will narrow down and essentially give us that one date. That's the 1/1/2018. That's the date. I forgot to do one more step, so I'm going to cancel here, remove duplicates, and then here before we drill down, I'm going to convert this to a number, a whole number. So we just end up with that number, and then now right click and then say drill down. So we will end up with that number, right? 43,101. That refers to the date date of 1st of January 2018. So now that we have the beginning date, I need to actually generate all the dates from that point onwards up to today, right? We could write a formula and do that, but just to keep things simple, here I'm gonna add a custom step. Just click on FX and it'll add a custom step, and we will say open curly brackets, date of join, that's my starting value, and then the end value would be number from I have enabled the IntelliSense for Power Query test preview feature in Power BI, so that's why you see this. I kind of like it, but I'm also not a big fan at this moment because it seems to be a little all over the place for the lack of better words. But what I'm looking for is a local now. Local now will give me the date time. Local now will give us the current date, right? So local now, we'll just cancel that for now. Let's finish typing because Power Query wants to do a lot of things here, and that's why. So number from datetime.local now. Now the problem with this is, I think I tried this earlier, it didn't really work because local now would give me today's date along with the time value as well, and that would be in decimals, and so essentially number from would be a decimal value, and this would expect both starting and ending numbers values to be numbers, so you wouldn't get. So this is what it's saying, no, 0.72856. I cannot really convert. So what we will do is datetime.local now, we will now convert that portion into date alone. So I'll go date dot and then let's see what functions are here. Date dot you know what, it's easier to just copy from my earlier script rather than just looking all over the place. That's the one, date from, yeah, sorry, that's what I meant to use, date from, and we will do that. We need to make sure that these are capitalized, otherwise so is it expecting one more? Yep. So that's the logic. We take the start date 1st of Jan 2018 in this case, and then we will get the today's date numeric value, and then we will give both of those to the curly brackets start and end number values, and then it will generate a list of all the numbers in between. Once that is there, we just convert that into a table. So we now have a table of numbers. This is very simple, easy calendar. The only problem is everything is a number, so we just now right click and then say change type date, and we get the dates. So once this is done, we will rename this to date, and then we can add any other columns from here. For example, I want the month name, I can add that. I want sorry, name of the day, I can add that. So all these additional bits we can add. You don't necessarily want to add any month, year, and quarter information here if you don't want, because Power BI, when you load this data there, Power BI can generate those extra columns from date columns automatically. So that's how the calendar table is made. I did add some additional bits here like quarter and day name and day of week, because if you want to analyze, for example, what is the most popular day for employee hiring or employees leaving, or any of those kind of things, you can do that analysis here. So we will just really delete that because we don't really need that duplicate one. That will mess up our data model. and then these are the tables, right? All of these are there. Then we will just click close and apply, and now our Power BI will load all these 1 2 3 4 5 7 tables into the model. So this is how the model would look after you set up your relationships. There are two base tables or the fact tables. One is staff and one is leavers, and all of these are linked to our newly created dimension tables on the respective columns, right? Once all of that is done, I did one extra step, which is right click on the columns in the main tables, the fact tables, and then I have hidden them from the report view. This way there is no two genders or two departments or two branches in your data view when you are creating any visuals, and that will make it look tidy and easier to develop any visuals. So after that is done, I have gone and created some measures. The first one is lever count, how many people have left, and this is nothing but a simple count rows on the levers table. So lever count is count rows of lever table. Same goes for staff count, which is joinee count, and that would be count rows on the staff table, how many people have joined. And then total staff to date is, this is actually a running total measure. I did not create this because although I can create it, it's easier to just ask Power Query to create this for us. So I created joinee count and lever count, and then I right click and then said new quick measure, and through this dialog I selected the running total option, which is somewhere here, and I want the joinee count based on my calendar date field as the base field, and the direction would be ascending, so this would just give us all of them, all of the running total over time, and that's this graph here. So we could just look at either joinee count or lever count to just look at the cumulative numbers, but what we really want is the net staff count, which would be joinees minus levers. That's the difference. So I just, once that is done, I have modified the calculation here, and we get total staff to date. The other measure that I created is turnover percentage, which is dividing lever count with the joinee count, and in case there is a problem with this division, then give me blank, so that we don't have any nasty divide by zero errors in our visuals. All right, so that's the little bit. There are some other measures. I think there is one here in the branch, which we will get to a little later. So once that is done, it's a simple matter of making the visuals and setting up the visual layout. And this is where a little bit of patience as well as practice and your own creativity would come in picture. For example, what we wanted was the first visual is to explore the trend of people recruitment as well as leaving. So we start off with a line graph and add both joinee count and a lever count. You hear some shouts in the background. That's my kids. They're already home from school, so they do what kids do, which is just shout and and play and enjoy. They got a lot more time to play with Power Query. So this is drilling down into quarter level, and we get into monthly level, and that's that graph, right? So this is how my trend would look. It's essentially the same graph as you see on the main page there. So we recreate that. So that's that. Now normally I really like Power BI visuals. They are very easy to create and quite fun to play with and get the effect that you want. But the area of Power BI visuals that I don't really enjoy much is the header part. You know, it's very hard to customize and play with the headers. So what I normally do after I make the visual is I do this, like I delete the title that has been created by the visual, and then I add a title on my own so that I can customize it the way I want. For example, here select the visual, go to the format options and disable the title so that there's no more titles, and then add a text box right on the top. Of course, Power BI wants to just add it anywhere, and then we can give it whatever we want. So total joinees versus leavers over time, and then we just resize it to the same size as our original graph, and So once that is done, we just have to move this to where our title is supposed to be. One of the good things with Power BI newer versions, this is February 2019 version here, but I believe this feature has been around for a few months already now, is those guidelines as you resize and move things. So as I move it, automatically once I reach the edge of the other visuals down or above or nearby in the page, I see this red guideline telling me that, you know, if you were to leave it here, it would be a perfect alignment, which makes my job very simple, because I do have a little bit of obsessive compulsion to make sure that all of the things are properly aligned and matched in sizes, and I think that's a very good principle to follow if you want to design elegant looking displays. So this is you can play with all of the other settings through this title, because it gives you the creative freedom to play with colors. You can even set background on it through the visual properties here, and then say I want that background, and it just transparencies and whatever, and you will get a nice looking graph, right? So this is that one. The other graphs on the report, let's go back and see this here, are fairly self-explanatory. This is that, and the total staff trend over time is nothing but similar visual but created with total staff to date measure. And then what I did is I went and used the analytics tab here and added a forecast for 6 months, so that I can see what happens in the next 6 months. You can also ignore the last few months if you want, but I think you don't really want to bother too much unless you have very good idea about the data and the modeling that you want to do. This is randomly made up data, so I don't really want to mess up with these forecasting settings. It does use proper time series forecasting methodology to understand both trend and seasonality of your data, and then give you that kind of a forecast. At an aggregate level, it does look like there is a tapering one, but if you get into one of those individual departments, you could see some very interesting trends, like, you know, what's happening here, and then the forecast is suggesting that in the human resources department we are likely to increase the headcount, or the marketing department for that matter. So these graphs are similar. The one with the gender by branch is also similar. You just make a stacked bar chart and put both gender and branch there, and then put lever count to see what's happening by gender. Now, after creating this, I wanted to make sure that there is a little bit of information provided on where this attrition is happening, maximum amount of levers, where are they. So I wanted to write something like top 2 branches account for 50% of levers. But how do you get that? So this is actually a card visual that is displaying some text that I have generated through a measure. So this is my top 2 branches measure. It's a little more DAX than I would love to explain in a YouTube video, but let's take a look at this. I'm pretty sure, because this is one of the very first times in my life I have used a top and concatenate X measures for formulas in Power BI or Power Pivot for that matter. So I am also a little hesitant whether this is the best way to go about this. Maybe there is other ways to write this measure, but for the sample size of this data, I don't find any improvements in performance over this or some other methods. Anyhow, the way this works is we first start off by creating a variable called T2, which is the top 2 branches, by filtering top 2 of the D branch table on lever count in the descending order. So it will just go and calculate lever count for all the items in the D branch table, and then gives us top 2 rows, right? So that's the T2 variable. It contains a table at the end of this process. We will also want to know what are those names. Initially, my measure simply said top 2 branches account for 50% of levers. But because of the cross filtering that can happen, you know, it can sometimes you might see New York and Baltimore on the top, but the top 2 branches for that particular selection combination could be Orlando and Miami. So you really want those names there so that there is no confusion. So this is that, you know, we want to concatenate all the individual names in the T2 table by the branch column with comma based on the lever count descending order. So again, look at the T2 table and concatenate the names in the order of their values, descending order of the lever count values. And that variable is actually a string or text value there. So those two are done. And then we want to return this sentence, top 2 branches, brackets, ampersand T2 name. So whatever that name is, that account for. And then now what I want is, I want to find out what is the total lever count of that T2 table as against all the levers. So format divide sum x. So let's go from inside out here. Sum x of T2 table lever count. So take the lever count against T2 table and then just give me the total sum of that, because if 5 people left from New York and 7 people left from Washington, then the total would be 12. So that's what sum x would give us. And then take that number, divide that with calculate lever count against all branches. So this is the top 2 branches, that's the all branches, and then that would be my overall turnover, right? So this number, that number we divide. If there is a failure in the division, we just want 0. We don't want anything funny. And then we want to format that entire thing in 0%. This is because when you are concatenating, you don't want to see something like top 2 branches account for 47 0.47593, right? We really want to read the words 47%. So that's what that says of levers. So there you go. That's the way the sentence can be constructed. It's a little more technical, and probably I am not a DAX expert by any means, so definitely not the best way to write about this. That much I can say. But I'm happy that we are using some of the best practices here, which is using variables and doing the calculation in a more methodical way, so that it's easy to understand where everything is. And I'm surprised the first time I did it, I got the numbers right, so no complaints there. Anyhow, so that's the top 2 branches levers total, and that goes into a card here which has some background and font settings to make it look like that. And then the top 10 roles with highest turnover is nothing but a table which has let's go here and then see designation, levers, joinees, and turnover percentage with a data bar on turnover percentage, but a visual level filter to filter top 10 values by turnover percentage, so that there is only 10 items here, not all the jillion items that are there. The last bit of mystery is this space where there is a summary of what happened last month, last 3 months so far. This is something that I find very useful in business reporting. You are providing at a glance information of what is happening currently in the previous 3 months and in the 6 months, quarter, or 1 year, or last year, etc. How do you do this? These are cards, multi-row cards that show joinee count, lever count, and total staff to date. So same cards repeated 3 times. For the first card, there is a relative date filtering of last 1 month. For the second card, again everything same, but relative date filtering is in the last 3 months. For the third card, everything is same, there is no relative date filtering, so it uses all the data. So this is a powerful technique that you can apply in your Power BI reports, so that you can show either multiple cards like this, or have a single card but use some other things like a hotspot or a button or an image to toggle between different settings and show values as per your needs. So that's it for the East Coast Sin Corporation staff turnover report. I hope you like this. Please feel free to download the workbook and more information from the link below, so that you can go ahead and implement this in your organization. If you are managing to do something like this or even better, please post your experience and information in the comment section, so that I can also see what you have done, and we all can learn from each other. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching this video. Talk to you in some other video again. Bye bye.